Shalom, shalom, Mishpaka, Bukatub, to all of my Mishpaka worldwide, to the four corners of the earth, wherever your feet touch the soil, on this preparation yom. Bukatub to you, Bukatub to the older brother, I salute and I esteem you, Yahuda. Bukatub to the younger brother, I salute and I esteem you, Ephraim, Ephraim. Bukatub to the former stranger, Gur, Goyim, Goy, or Gentile, who is no longer a stranger, a Gur, Goyim, or Goy, or Gentile, or nation, but who is indeed an adopted son now and a fellow citizen through Hamashiach, and whereby being now privy to the same covenants and promise and inheritance that were given to Yasharal and to Yasharal alone. You two are family. So I salute and I esteem you as well on this morning. I salute and I esteem you as well on this preparation yom. I pray that all who are under the sound of my voice are prospering, even as your nefesh prospers. I pray that you are reveling and resting even on this yom in the complete shalom of Yahuwah, in the complete healing of Yahuwah, in the complete restoration of Yahuwah. I pray that you are indeed resting in his righteousness on this yom, that you are indeed resting in his set apartness on this yom, and that indeed on this yom that you are indeed aspiring as a obedient son, as an obedient child, that you are indeed aspiring with all of your heart, mind, and strength to be set apart, even as your Father is set apart. I pray that even on this yom that you are aspiring to be just like our Father, just like our Daddy, that you are fighting with all of your might to align yourselves with the instructions of our Father that teach us how to be just like our Father, just like our Father. So I esteem you this morning, my family, my mishpaka, the whole house of Yasher, all the sons of Yaakov, and the two grandsons of Yaakov, Ephraim and Manasseh, and the former stranger, Ger, Goyim, nation, Gentile. I esteem you too, because indeed you are now an adopted son. Shalom, shalom to my family worldwide, wherever your feet touch the soil. I have a question for you, my mishpaka. I have a question for you on this morning, and that question is your eye evil? Is your eye evil? Is the eye that you have good, or is it evil? Is the eye that you have, which is a portal, which is a doorway, is it good or is it evil? Do you think that it's good? Um, have you ascertained if whether or not it is good or evil? Because indeed, if the eye that you think is good is actually evil, it is written that indeed, if it is evil, then also your whole body is evil as well. So this is a very, very relevant question on this morning. A very, very relevant question to consider, if whether or not your eye is good or evil, if whether or not your eye is good or evil. And again, this is a very relevant question for a appointed time, for a moed season. To do that, to conduct that introspective search of this heckle, to conduct that introspective search, to conduct that outer perimeter search, indeed, if you will, to search out the property of this heckle, to conduct a perimeter search, to indeed see if there's anything evil that resides or that is standing on your property. Indeed, we are to remove every accursed thing from out of our midst. Every accursed thing from out of our midst. So it's important. It's important that we not only conduct a perimeter search, but that we conduct an introspective search of this heckle to search out everything unclean, everything that causes offense to the Most High Yah, especially in this season, in this appointed time, in this Moed season. Indeed, Pesach is coming up. Pesach is fastly approaching, and leading up to Pesach, we are to remove all of the leaven from our homes. We are to remove everything that contains leaven from our homes. And we are indeed to eat unleavened bread for 7 days. Indeed, removing the leaven from our homes is reminiscent or represented or a representation of removing the leaven or the sin from our inner house, from our hearts. It is a representation of conducting that introspective search of our hearts, of our inner heckle, and searching out that leaven, searching out that sin, and bringing it before the Most High Yah and begging that He would remove it from this inner heckle, from this inner man, begging that He would indeed search out this heckle, that He would indeed search out the innermost parts of this heckle, that He would indeed even search out the kidneys of this heckle, the innermost part of this heckle. And if there be anything unclean found in this heckle, that He would remove it, that He would remove it. So then the question remains, is your eye evil? Is your eye evil, or is it good? Or is it good? Picking up this thought, we read a very, very familiar passage of scripture in the 6th chapter of Yahu, commonly called Matthew. In verse 22 and 23, we pick up this thought here with respect to whether or not your eye is good or evil. And reading, starting at verse 22 rather, it reads, "The lamp of the body is the eye. If therefore your eye is good, all your body shall be enlightened. But if your eye is evil, all your body shall be darkened. If then the light that is within you is darkness, how great is that darkness? How great is that darkness?" What is Hamashiach talking about here? What is he talking about? Many of you already know that the eye is the lamp to the body. It is the lamp to the body. Whatever we allow in this eye gate, the lamp to the body, indeed determines whether or not our body is full of light or whether or not it is full of darkness, or whether or not it is full of darkness. The eye, again, is the lamp to the body. It is a direct pathway to the nefesh, the very center of our being. The nefesh and the lab, the labab, the nefesh and the labab are synonymous. The heart, the labab, is synonymous with our soul. The nefesh is our soul. They are intertwined. Indeed, they are echad. They are echad. And so the eye gate, is a direct door, a direct pathway to the nefesh and the labab. Indeed, uh, the ambassador Kafar, he says, he in Kafa Alaf, I believe, of First Peter, he makes the declaration that, or gives us the warning, rather, that we are to, as pilgrims and sojourners in the Eretz, that we are to abstain from fleshly lusts that war against the Nefesh, that war against the Nefesh. Indeed, many of the daily battles that go on in the Nefesh and in the heart are a direct result of what we allow in through our lamp, through our eye gates, not just our eye gates, but our ear gates, through our noses, through our mouths, through our hands and our feet, through touch. But for the sake of this lesson, we're talking about those eye gates, because Yahusha, the Hamashiach, he declares that this is the lamp of the body. This is the lamp of the body. That these eye gates are the lamp of the body. This is the door by which either light comes in or darkness comes in. Either light or darkness comes in through these eye gates. And so he asked the question, if, in other words, if whether or not, if what you are seeing, if what you are allowing in your eyes, he asked the question for us to make the determination if whether or not what we are actually letting in through our eye gates is actually light or darkness. And if it is darkness, oh, how great is that darkness that is within us? How great is that darkness that is within us? So reading it again, it says, the lamp of the body is the eye. If therefore your eye is good, all your body shall be enlightened. But if your eye is evil, all your body shall be darkened. If then the light that is within you is darkness, how great is that darkness? How great is that darkness? But what is the particular context that he's speaking in here? What is the context? I've given you some context, and that indeed is accurate context. But what is the context here in which the Hamashiach is speaking? What is the particular context here in which the Hamashiach is speaking? To get the context here of what the Hamashiach is talking about, we need to start at verse 19. We need to start at verse 19. So beginning at verse 19 of Matif Yahu, or Matthew, commonly called Matthew, the 6th chapter, we read, do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasure in Shamayim, commonly called heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart shall also be. There your heart shall be also. For where your treasure is, there your heart shall be also. Then he goes on to say, the lamp of the body is the eye. If therefore your eye is good, all your body shall be enlightened. But if your eye is evil, all your body shall be darkened. If then the light that is within you is darkness, how great is that darkness? He goes on to say, no one is able to serve two masters. For either he shall hate the one and love the other, or else he shall cleave to the one and despise the other. You are not able to serve Yahuwah and Mammon. So we see the context here. The context here is the treasures of the Areds, are the possessions of the Areds. And he uses the treasures and the possessions of the Areds in the context of being darkness. In the context of being darkness. In other words, if this is what you are allowing into your eye gates, if you are focusing, if you are gazing upon the treasures and the possessions of the Areds, then indeed your body is full of darkness. Your body is full of darkness. Why? Because no man can serve two masters. Either you are going to store up treasures in Shamayim, or you are going to store up treasures on Eretz. Either Alua is going to be your, either Yahuwah is going to be your Alua, or Mammon is going to be your Alua. You have to make a choice. You cannot serve both. Either your gaze is fixed on things above, either your gaze is fixed on Torah, is fixed on the light, the living Torah, and learning to make a distinction between the clean and the unclean, learning to make a distinction between what pleases the Most High Yah and what displeases the Most High Yah. Learning through the Torah how to align our lives with the righteous instructions of Yah, which teach us how to be like our Father, because indeed the Word is alive, because indeed the Word is Yah. The Word is Yah. So indeed, either this is going to be your focus, whereby you are serving the Most High Yah, or the possessions, the treasure of the Arets. Mammon is going to be your focus. Which are you allowing into your eye gates? Which are you allowing into your eye gates? But the bigger question remains is, why did he equate treasures in the context of being darkness? In the context of being darkness, are treasures bad, always bad? Not necessarily. But if treasures are your focus, if this is what you are allowing into your eye gates, then indeed it is bad. But I want to give you another perspective. I want to give you something else to think about. And we're going to pick up that thought in Yahu, or Matthew, the 4th chapter, reading verses 8 through 10. And then we're going to turn over to Lucas, commonly called Luke, the 4th chapter, reading verses 5 through 8. So reading Yahu, or Matthew, the 4th chapter, beginning at verse 8 through verse 10, we read, "Again, the devil took him up on a very high mountain and showed him all the reigns of the world and their esteem, and said to him, All these I shall give you if you fall down and worship me. Then Yahusha said to him, Go, Satan, for it has been written, you shall worship Yahuwah your Alua, and him alone shall you serve." In Luke, the 4th chapter, reading verse 5 through 8, it reads, "And the devil taking him up on a high mountain, showing him all the reigns of the world in a moment of time. And the devil said to him, All this authority I shall give you, and their esteem, for it has been, hear me, for it has been delivered to me, and I give it to whomever I wish. If then you worship before me, all shall be yours." And Yahusha answering him said, "Get behind me, Shaitan, for it has been written, You shall worship Yahuwah, Yahweh, and him alone you shall serve." and him alone you shall serve. Now, many in the world, especially in the Christian community, like to use the saying that all things work together for the good of those who love Yahuwah. All things work together for the good of those who love Yahuwah. Now, many of those in and outside of the false prosperity gospel community will use this in the context of receiving material things, of receiving material wealth. They will use this. This is a very popular passage of scripture uh, in relation to them using this in the context of receiving the barakah, what they call blessings of Yah. But is it really from Yah? Are those things really from Yahuwah? We just read where Hashatan indicated to Yahusha that all these things are within his power to give because they have been given to him. And indeed, he was not lying. He was not lying because he legally usurped the authority to govern the arrest from Adam. He legally usurped it through trickery, albeit, but he legally usurped it. And so, whereas the world, the arrest, was formerly created in the image of the Most High, where it was not indeed material, because Yahuwah is not material, and the Shamayim is not material. When Adam obeyed Shaitan, whereby giving Shaitan rulership and authority over the Eretz was then created or recreated in the image of Hashatan into a material world. Into a material world. And so Hashatan indeed was not lying when he declared that all these reigns and all these possessions and all these things are mine to give you if you bow down and worship me. So the question again remains, um, are those things that people perceive as being from Yahuwah, are they really from Yahuwah? Are they really from Yahuwah? Again, Yahuwah is not material. Yahuwah is Ruach. He is Ruach. And so are his barakah, what the world calls blessings, are his barakah. Do they come in material possessions? They can. They can indeed come in material possessions, but then let's look again closely at this scripture that they use, that all things work together for the good of those who love Yahuwah, those who are called according to his purpose. But how do we love Yahuwah? How do we love Yahuwah? The text declares that we love Yahuwah by obeying his commands, by obeying his righteous Torah. So then, if the things are working for our perceived good, and we are not showing Yahuwah that we love him by guarding his righteous Torah, by guarding his command, is then that which we perceive as being good, is it actually coming from him? Or is it merely a trap to cause us to think that it's coming from him, so as to keep us deceived and in error? Deceived and in error. Because if we are not obeying Yahuwah, if we are not obeying his righteous Torah, then who are we obeying? If we're not obeying him, then we're obeying Shaitan. If we're not obeying Yahuwah, we're obeying Shaitan. And if we're not obeying Yahuwah, if we're not worshiping Yahuwah, then we're worshiping Mammon. Then we're worshiping Mammon. And it has been given to Hashatan to give these gifts, to give them. It is within his power and within his authority to give these gifts. to give these material gifts from this material world, of which he is the Allah, of which he is the Elohim of this material world. He is the Elohim of this material world. Again, does the good from Yahuwah have anything to do with material possessions? Sure, it can. It can. Look no farther than our father Abraham. He had many possessions. Look no farther than Shaluma. He had many possessions. And Jacob and Yishak and Dawood. They had many possessions. Many possessions. But their mighty one was not their possessions. Their mighty one was not their possessions. Yahuwah was their mighty one. Yahuwah was their mighty one. Indeed, in looking at our father Abraham, it is written in the apocryphal scriptures in Yashar that Abraham, he grew a vineyard. Hear me. He grew a vineyard with 4 different entrances in this vineyard, facing each direction. And the reason that he grew this vineyard and made it with and made 4 openings in it, facing each direction is so that if a stranger came near his tent, that they would have to enter this vineyard from one of these directions. And when they entered that vineyard, his vineyard that he planted just for that purpose, Abraham would feed them. Abraham would clothe them. Abraham would teach them the way of Yahuwah. And then Abraham would give them silver for the journey. Indeed, our master declares it is more Baruch to give than to receive. It is more Baruch to give than to receive. So sure, Abraham had riches. But Abraham was more concerned with serving the Most High Yah and freely giving these possessions and riches away than he was with hoarding them. So indeed, Yahuwah can give possessions to those who have the right heart and those who have the right nafash and who have the heart of our father Abraham. He can. He can. But in most instances, with respect to this fallen, decrepit, wicked, nasty world, this material world in which Hashatan is the mighty one of this material world, in most cases it comes from him. In most cases it comes from him. Thus, does Yahusha equates these possessions in the context of darkness. Because indeed, Hashatan is the dark one. Indeed, indeed, darkness did not even exist on the Eretz until Hashatan was placed here. You see, after he fell, he was turned dark. He was a being of light. And so now he only masquerades as a being of light. But when pride was found in him, when wickedness was found in him, when darkness was found in him, he was turned dark. He was turned literally dark into a dark being. And so darkness did not even exist on the Eretz until Hashatan was placed here. Hear me, there is only light in Yahuwah. Yahuwah is light, and in him is no darkness at all. If any man claims fellowship with him, yet walks in darkness, he lies and does not live by the truth. There is no darkness in Yahuwah. He dwells in unsearchable light. He dwells in light alone. There is no darkness in him. Darkness is equated with Hashatan. It is equated with Hashatan. Thus, he equates these material possessions with darkness, with Hashatan, who is the ruler of this material world. This should also give you a deeper context into light and darkness, light and darkness. And Yahuwah in the beginning separating himself from darkness, separating himself from darkness, separating himself from Hashatan, who was here, who was already here, who had made the earth dark. And so thus Yahuwah declares, let there be light. Let there be my esteem upon the arrest. Let there be my Torah upon the arrest. Indeed, this was even before he created the sun, the moon, and the Kokabim. And so he declares, let my esteem once again be upon the arrest, and let it separate itself from the darkness. Let it separate itself from Hashatan and his fallen ones. Thus, when the arrests are restored, there'll be no need for the sun, the moon, and the Kokabim. It will only be day. It will only be light, because the very esteem of Yahuwah will light the arrest. Why? Because when he comes, he's going to send out his reapers and remove everything that causes stumbling, everything that causes sin. He's going to remove all darkness. He's going to remove all demons. He's going to remove all fallen ones, and he's going to remove all wicked human beings and cast them into the pit, the lake of fire. He's going to remove the beast, Nimrud, and the false prophet, who I believe is the Pope, and cast them into the lake of fire. And he's going to bind Hashatan for 1,000 years in the pit, bind him for 1,000 years, and after the 1,000 years, he's going to let him loose for a season. But I just need to give you context and to draw your attention to why he considers that darkness, because Hashatan is the dark one, and the dark one is the governor of the arrest. And that's why Yahuwah being Zedek, being just, being Zedek, will not come where he has no legal right to be. Again, he has given Hashatan rulership over the arrest for the season. And you see, that's why there is day and night. That's why there is day and night. That's why there's light and darkness. That's why there's darkness. They have complete autonomy over the darkness. They have complete autonomy over the darkness, because Shaitan is darkness. Do you hear me? Shaitan is darkness. And so this is why they worship the darkness. Do you hear me? This is why pagans worship the darkness. This is why witches and warlocks and Satanists and all sorts of debauchery and evil worship the darkness. This is their time to reign. This is when most of their sacrifices take place. Most of their rituals take place. Their sex rituals and their magic and their incantations. This is when this take place, particularly around the 9th hour of the night, around 3 a.m. Because this is when they are most active. They have the most power, because he is giving them the darkness, because Hashatan is the dark one. This is where darkness comes from. Do you hear me? There is no darkness in Yahuwah. There is no darkness in him. No darkness in him. Are you listening? He has always been light. And there is no darkness in Shamayim. And the only reason there is darkness here is because of Hashatan. And thus he says here that if your gaze is upon these material possessions, which Hashatan is ruler of this material world, then your body is full of darkness. You will note that this is what he tempts Yahusha with. He tempts him with the possessions of this world, with power, with the lust of the flesh, with possessions. This is what he tempted him with what he has in his authority, with what he has in his authority. So again, does the good from Yahuwah have anything to do with material possessions? Because again, he's not material. Again, sure it can, but again, consider this. Yahuwah, he is not material. He is not material. He is Ruach. Not only consider this, but consider the previous points that were made. But Yahuwah is not material. He is Ruach. He is spirit. He is Ruach. He is spirit. He is not material. This earth is only material because After the fall, it was created in the image of Hashatan. Now, Hashatan is not material either. He is not material either, but he is a ruler of this fallen material world. He is the ruler of this fallen material world. You see, it is the belief of Gnostics, and they got something kind of they most pagan religions are sprinkled with a little truth and a whole lot of paganism. And but one thing the Gnostics got right is that they don't believe that anything good can come from the material realm. You see, they understand. They understand. The Gnostics, they understand. The Kabbalists, they understand that nothing good can come from the material realm, that good can only come from the Ruach realm, that it can only come from the Ruach realm. But the problems with the Gnostic, and this is the problem that they have with the assembly, with the Nazarene assembly, with the Hebrew assembly at Kalash, was that the Hebrew assembly there were having problems with the Gnostics there, with the Kabbalists there, because they were judging them. They were judging the Nazarene assembly there because they were keeping the dietary laws. And I encourage you to read Colossians 2 from this perspective, because they were keeping the dietary laws, because they were keeping the feasts, the new moons, the new months, the Shabbats and the festivals. They were keeping all these things, but the Gnostics were judging them for doing so. And they were judging them for doing so, and they were judging them for their amunah, for their belief in the Hamashiach, because the Gnostics did not believe that anything good could come from the material realm. Thus, they had difficulty accepting the Hamashiach, who was fully man and who was fully Yahuwah. They had difficulty accepting him. So Shaul was encouraging the assembly at Kalash to not allow them to judge them for keeping the appointed times of Yah and for keeping the dietary laws of Yah, because these are but a foreshadowing. These are a foreshadowing of things to come for the body of Mashiach. And so he encourages them to not lose out on the prize by adhering to these pagan Gnostic beliefs and going away from the belief of going away from the feast days and the Shabbats and the dietary laws, and instead listening to these Gnostics, and by doing so missing out on the prize. And by doing so missing out on the prize. And it goes down further in that chapter, and it talks about, and it makes it plainly that these people worship messengers. They worship messenger. This is textbook Gnosticism, because they worship spiritual beings. They worship messengers. This is textbook Gnosticism. This is who they were dealing with. They were dealing with Gnostics who were judging them. Shaul goes, and I didn't make this video to talk about this, but the Ruach HaKodesh gave me a segue to talk about it just a little bit. But further down in that chapter, it talks about touch this, not touching this, and touching this, and eating this, and not eating this. He says these things are to fade with time, and he talks about that these things are the commands and doctrines of men. And I'm kind of paraphrasing, but he talks about these things being the commands and doctrines of men. And so the whole of Colossians 2 is dealing with the commands and the doctrines of men, and not with the commands and doctrines of Yah. He's not telling them to go away from the feast days and the Shabbats and the dietary laws. He's telling them to hold on to them, because they are foreshadowing for the body of the Messiah of things to come. Because indeed, within the appointed times is hidden the redemption plan for Yah's people. It's hidden the redemption plan for Yah's people. Nevertheless, this video is not about that. But again, the Ruach gave me a segue to talk about that. But Yahuwah is not material. He is Ruach. Likewise, the gift that he promised us was not material possessions. Now, as we read, it was material possessions that Hashatan promised Yahusha. He promised to give him material possessions. But it is not material possessions that Yahuwah has promised to give us. He has promised to give us eternal life through his Ruach HaKodesh. Through his Ruach HaKodesh. He has promised to give us the gift of the Ruach, the promised gift of the Ruach, which also isn't material. This isn't material. This is the gift that he has promised us. It's the Ruach HaKodesh, which is far more valuable than any material possession, because the gift of the Ruach HaKodesh is our down payment. It is the seal of redemption. It is proof that we have been sealed for deliverance. It is proof that we are, and the operative word here is being, it is proof that we are being delivered. He is proof, forgive me, Father, it's not an it. He is proof that we are being cleansed, that we are being washed, that we have indeed been purchased, and that we are being delivered. This is the gift that he has promised us. It has nothing to do with material possessions, and it is far more valuable than anything material that Hashatan can give us. Then Hashatan can give us. Yahuwah promised to give us himself, because indeed the Ruach is Yah, the Ruach of Yah. He promised to give us himself, not material gains, but himself. Again, can he give us material gains? Yes, he can. He can, and he does, for those who align themselves with his righteous Torah and who are not looking for material gain, who are not looking for it. That this is not what we are striving for. What we are striving for is set apartness, to be like our Father, to be set apart, even as our Father is set apart, which his righteous Torah teaches us how to live set apart as he is set apart. This is our goal. This is our goal, not material possessions. This was Abraham's goal. And so his body was full of light. And so he was a living Torah. A living Torah. It is Torah that we feed the stranger and clothe the stranger and clothe the widow and clothe the fatherless and clothe the poor of the land. This is Torah, and this is before the Torah of Musa was given. And so Abraham demonstrates that the Torah was written on his heart by growing that vineyard with 4 different directions, so that if a stranger entered into that vineyard, he had to enter. He had no choice. He had no choice but to enter into one of those directions. In other words, Abraham was saying, I'm going to feed you. You're going to eat. You have to enter in one of these directions, and I am going to feed you. I am going to clothe you, whether you like it or not. I am going to teach you the way of Yahuwah, and whether you like it or not, I'm going to give you silver for the journey, whether you like it or not. This is the Torah written on his heart. This is the Torah written on his heart, because he sought first and foremost to live set apart like his Father is set apart. This is what he sought, not the material wealth of this world, which is given via Hashatan in most cases. In most cases. Nevertheless, he promised us his Ruach. He promised us the Ruach. This is the gift that he promised us. The down payment, the seal of redemption. This is what he promised us. The seal of redemption. Not material gain, but the seal of redemption. Excuse that call. It hadn't happened in a while, but Hashatan is busy. Oh yeah, I equate things like that to Hashatan, because I am in the midst of speaking via the inspiration of the Ruach, and just like him, he would try to interrupt. But you know what? Yahuwah put in my Nefash to purchase another camera. And so I usually have 2 cameras going, where if I receive a phone call on my phone, this teaching can keep going in the other camera. Now my phone has stopped, because when I answer it, the recording stops. But the other camera, the other camera is still going. It's esteemed to the Most High Yah. It's still going. Nevertheless, he has promised us the seal of redemption. He has promised us his set apart Ruach, not material gain. He has promised us himself. You see, we are Kohen. We are what the world calls priests. We are a nation of Kohen. We are a royal Kihunai. Yes, indeed. This is what YAHUAH'S is. And this is why we were chosen. We were chosen to be a royal Kihuna, a royal priesthood, a set apart nation. Why? So that we may share the light of Yahuwah to the rest of mankind, so that we would be set apart examples in set apartness to the rest of mankind, to show them what it looks like and what it means to be set apart to the Most High Yah. Indeed, this is why we are scattered amongst the nations. Indeed, this is our purpose. This is the reason that we are scattered amongst the nations, so that through us, Zion, Yahuwah will reconcile the rest of mankind back to himself through his set apart people, through his set apart nation, through his royal kihuna, through his nation of Kohen. And so we are Kohen, and not unlike the Luim Kihuna, commonly called the Levitical priesthood, not unlike them, we have no portion in this world. Now you will have to go back and read Torah to understand this. Some of you understand Torah, and you understand that the Kohen were to have no inheritance. They were to have no possessions. Why? Because Yahuwah is their possession. Yahuwah is their inheritance. And so, not unlike them, Yahuwah is our portion. Yahuwah is our inheritance. And so, not unlike them, again, we have no portion in this world. Yahuwah. Yahuwah is our portion. Yahuwah is our inheritance. Yahuwah is our inheritance. Along those lines, do you not understand that everything that contains life contains Yahuwah? Everything that contains life contains Yahuwah. Now I'm speaking this to you in the context of inheritance. In the context of inheritance, because some of you may be saying, well, the land is our inheritance. The land is the inheritance of the sons of Jacob that was given to Abraham and passed down to Yishak and passed down to Yaakov and then passed down to Ephraim. So the land is our everlasting inheritance. The land is our everlasting portion. But if you understand, the Luim also had no portion in the land. They had no portion. They had no portion. But what if you're not Luim? Again, we are a nation of Kohen. We are a nation of Kohen. And although Yahuwah has promised this as our everlasting inheritance, what I need you to understand is that everything that contains life contains Yahuwah. Indeed, it is Yahuwah in it. Indeed, even the land of our fathers contains Yahuwah. Even the land contains Yahuwah because it contains life. Hence, it is written in the book of Yashayahu that when we are gathered, that we are going to even marry the land. Do you hear me? We are going to marry the land. Now, Yahuwah is our Ash, correct? Is he not? Yahuwah is our Ash. And so if we are going to marry the land, then that tells you that the land is also Yahuwah. We're going to marry him and become one with him. The land is Yahuwah. Yahuwah is our portion. Yahuwah is our inheritance. Do you hear me? Yahuwah is our inheritance. He is our portion. He is our portion. He and he alone is our portion. And this video is getting long. I didn't want to make it too long, but I still have a few more points to make. I still have a few more points to make. But recall the rich young ruler when Yahusha told him to go and to sell his material possessions and come and follow him. And then come and follow him. And recall how sad the rich young ruler was when he was told to sell all his possessions and come and follow him. You see, he was trying to serve two masters. He was trying to serve two masters. And it is written that we can't serve two masters. We can't serve two masters. He was trying to serve two masters. You see, his primary goal was not to be like the Most High. Yahuwah was not his portion. Yahuwah was not his inheritance. Physical, material things were his inheritance. Thus, his body was full of darkness because it was given by the dark one. So the question remains, the question is your eye good or is your eye evil? Are you willing to give up all? This is the question. Have you counted up this cost? Have you counted up the cost and have you made the determination if whether or not walking this walk, this narrow walk, is something that you can afford? Are you willing to give up all? That was the question that he posed to the rich young ruler. That was the lesson. Are you willing to give up all? Have you counted up the cost? Have you counted up the cost? Indeed, it is written, if we don't hate mother, father, son, daughter, sister, or brother, yes, even our own lives, then we are not worthy to be his taught ones. We are not worthy to be his taught ones. Are you willing to count it all dung? Are you willing to set yourself apart from all uncleanness, even if that matters, even if that means separating yourself from family and friends? Are you willing to forsake all and leave all behind for the sake of the reign of Yahuwah? Where is your heart? Where is your heart? Is it in Shamayim or is it on Eretz? And is your eye good or is your eye evil? Is your eye good or is your eye evil? Again, nonetheless, as shown above, Shaitan tempted Yahusha in the wilderness with material possessions. Again, why? Because he is the mighty one of this material world. Indeed, he told Yahusha that the things of this world were his to give to whomever he wanted to give them. Likewise, Zion, this is why if our eye is focused on these things, it is full of darkness because he is the master, the prince of darkness. And these material things are associated with the mighty one of this material world. Now, am I saying that the material gains that you have are evil? No, not if they were given by Yahuwah. Not if they were given by Yahuwah. If you aligning yourself with his righteous Torah, and if obeying him and if set apartness means more to you than anything on the Eretz, then live in shalom with it. Live in shalom with it. But if your gaze is fixed on these things, then Zion, that's not of Yahuwah. Your body full of darkness. You are full of darkness because that came from the dark one. That came from this dark material world. That came from this dark material world. Indeed, we are not to love this material world or the material things that are in it. Indeed, the scripture says, do not love this world nor that which is in this world. Why? Because this world is dark. Because Hashatan is the ruler of this dark world. Of this dark world. Indeed, again, that's why darkness is even in this world. Physical darkness. That's why physical darkness is indeed in this world. Do not love the world nor that which is in the world. If anyone loves this world, the love of the Father is not in him, because all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, that eye gate, if you're the lamp to the body. If your eye is full of light, then your whole body is full of light. If your eye is full of darkness, then your whole body is full of darkness. The lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world passes away. Indeed, recognize this appointed time, recognize this appointed season to set yourself apart to the Most High Yah. in righteousness and in truth. It's time out from games. It's time out for games. It's time out from living a double life. It's time out from being double minded. It's time out from focusing or fixing your gaze on the things of this lost, wicked, perverse world. It is time to set yourself apart to the Most High Yah in righteousness and truth, in preparation for that great day when He comes in thick darkness and gloom. By the sound of a great shofar, it is time, Zion, to set ourselves apart in righteousness and truth, to set ourselves apart from sin, and to set ourselves apart to Him in righteousness and truth, to set ourselves apart from the filthy lucre, the filthy things of this world, and to set ourselves apart to Him in righteousness and in truth. And the world passes away. Recognize this season and the lust of it, but the one doing the desire of Yahuwah remains forever. Remains forever. What is the desire of Yahuwah? That we turn neither to the right or to the left of His righteous Torah. That we turn neither to the right or to the left of obeying His righteous Torah. Of obeying His righteous Torah. Again, if the eye is focused on these things, it is full of darkness, as these material things are associated with the mighty one of this material world. Again, if we love this world, then the love of the Father is not in us. It is not in us. In most cases, Zion, the gifts that people boast about as being from Yahuwah, as being His barakah, are actually not even from Yahuwah, but are from the wicked one, because they are His to give. They are His to give. Is your eye evil? Or is your eye good? Is your eye evil? Or is your eye good? Again, many boast in Romans chapter 8, and we know that all matters work together for the good of those who love Yahuwah, to those who are called according to His purpose. But again, how do we love Yahuwah? By this we know that we love the children of Yahuwah, when we love Yahuwah and guard His commands. For this is the love for Yahuwah, that we guard His commands, and His commands are not heavy or burdensome. And so, if you ain't loving Yahuwah, where are these things coming from? Where are they coming from? Where are they coming from? Where is your gaze on? What are you fixing your eyes on? Where is your gaze on? Is it focused on things above or things below? Ask yourself that question on this yom, and then make the determination on this yom if whether or not your body is full of light or your body is full of darkness. Light only comes from Yah. Light only comes from His Torah. Torah is light. It only comes from reading, studying, and meditating His Torah. His Torah is living. It is indeed Yah. And so when we read it and it washes us and we aspire to align ourselves with His instructions, then indeed the text says that our bodies will be full of light. Our bodies will be full of light. I pray that this has been edifying. I pray that it has cut some. I pray that it has cut some to the core, because that's what the word of Yah does. I pray that it has cut. I pray that it has edified. I pray that it has encouraged you. Encourage you to do what? To set yourselves apart from that which is unclean, and to set yourselves apart to Yahuwah, our Most High, Yahuwah, in obedience to His righteous Torah. Yahuwah barak you and guard you. Yahuwah make His face shine upon you and show favor to you. Yahuwah lift up His face towards you and give you Shalum. Thus you shall put my name on the children of Yasha'al, and I myself shall barak them. Amen, I mean, I mean.